Lonely billionaire in office after divorce until a cleaner st melts his cold heart at 3 a.m. In the heart of the city, it was a night like no other. Thick with the kind of silence that wrapped around the tall glass buildings like a heavy blanket. Inside, Jack Montgomery sat alone in his cavernous office, the flickering lights casting ghostly shadows on the walls filled with blinding diplomas and accolades. Just months ago, he was the most envied man in the world, a billionaire tycoon with a stunning wife and a life everyone dreamed of. But tonight he was just a shell, nursing a whiskey that burned more than just his throat, the sharp sting of loneliness creeping like an unwelcome guest into his heart. As the clock ticked towards 3 a.m., out of boredom and desperation, he roamed the empty halls. The sound of his footsteps echoed off the marble floors like a long-lost whisper. Every corner felt like a memory he wished would fade, remnants of laughter, fleeting glances, and the sweet scent of jasmine his ex-wife loved. He paused, a lump clogging his throat, feeling the crushing weight of regret wrap around him like chains. Suddenly, a murmur brushed past him. Was it real? He spun around, his heart pounding like a war drum. The only answer was the hollow sound of business as usual, but something felt very off. Well past closing hours, he shouldn't have seen any sign of life. And yet, there it was again, a soft voice woven with an unfamiliar melody that tingled his spine. Curiosity piqued, Jack ventured deeper into the labyrinth of his office. The door to the break room stood slightly ajar, the faint light spilling out, hinting at secrets waiting to be discovered. He approached, taking deep breaths to quiet the chaotic storm brewing in his chest. And then he saw her, Maria, the night cleaner with a radiant smile and a personality that sparkled like the stars outside. She was humming softly, her hands gracefully preparing a strange steaming concoction. It was just tea, but the scent was intoxicating, mingling with hints of oranges and something earthy that he couldn't quite identify. His breath caught as she poured the liquid into an old, chipped cup, steam swirling upward like something magical was about to unfold. Why did the scene feel almost enchanting? It was just tea. But something about her presence felt electric, stirring deep emotions within him that had long been buried. Would this be the moment he broke free from the shadows? He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. Instead he watched, entranced. What was this connection? Why was he so drawn to her? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As Maria turned, their eyes locked. The world faded away, leaving just the two of them in that moment. Jack felt a rush of warmth flooding his cold heart, battling the heartbreak of the past. He almost smiled, almost reached for her. But what would he say? How could he disrupt this fragile magic with his heavy history? Would this simple encounter be enough to melt the ice that had built up around him for years? Or would it leave him colder than before? The teapot began to whistle, breaking the spell. Maria turned back and Jack's heart raced. What would happen next? Would he break the silence or let the moment slip through his fingers? Jack stood frozen, caught in the web of emotions that swelled within him. The air thickened with anticipation as the sounds of the teapot hissed and whistled, echoing off the polished marble, filling the small room with warmth and sound. And Maria, he finally stammered, forcing himself to step forward, his own voice sounding foreign. What are you doing here so late? She glanced up, surprise flickering in her bright eyes. The brief hesitation in her demeanor was gone as she smiled, her cheeks slightly flushed. I like the quiet at night. It's peaceful. And I thought I'd make some tea before finishing my shift. Would you like some? Jack nodded almost instinctively, still trying to shake the surreal feeling of this interaction. I didn't know you brewed tea. It's a family recipe, she said, pouring the rich brew from the pot with a grace that mesmerized him. Helps with stress. Sometimes the nights get long when you're cleaning. The last of her words sliced through Jack like a sober reminder. She was the night cleaner, just someone trying to make a living, nothing more. But in that fleeting moment, she became something more. a spark in his suffocating darkness. What was her secret? How could someone like her evoke such depth within him? As she handed him the steaming cup, their fingers brushed. A spark, an undeniable connection that rooted them both in that singular moment. Jack could feel the dim light of his office being flooded with a new warmth, his heart edging closer to a thaw. Tentatively, he took a sip. The blend was exquisite, bright notes of citrus dancing on his tongue, wrapping him in comfort. "This is amazing," he managed to say, surprised at how right everything felt. Maria's smile widened, exposing a glimmer of pride. "Thank you. I've always believed that a good cup of tea can change your perspective." He wanted to explore that perspective. He was a man who controlled entire industries, yet tonight he felt drawn towards the enchanting simplicity of her world. "What's your secret for getting through tough nights?" he asked, trying to keep the conversation afloat, desperate for her wisdom. "Hope," she said softly, her eyes dancing with conviction. "Every cup I brew, I think about the dreams I have and those I'm working towards. It makes the struggles lighter." Jack absorbed her words, realizing how different their lives were. He had castles built on heartbreak, while she brewed dreams in a chipped cup. Could he let her in? Before he could voice more than a thought, the silence was shattered. The unmistakable sound of footsteps echoed along the corridor, heavy and purposeful. Jack's pulse quickened, the night feeling charged with new tension. Maria's expression shifted, concern creeping into her features. "Who's that?" "I don't know. It's after hours." Jack's mind raced. His office security staff was supposed to be gone by now. Something wasn't right. They exchanged worried glances, temporarily forgetting the tea that connected them and the moment they were sharing. Uncertainty filled the break room thick as fog. Jack felt the weight of something dangerous lurking in the shadows as the footsteps grew louder. A chill slithered down Jack's spine. Who could be here at this hour? What did they want? Tension gripped his throat as he scanned the doorway, his heart pounding as if it too were straining to push him forward. What if everything changed in the blink of an eye? With a sudden determination he grabbed Maria's hand, tugging her to hide behind the doorframe. Just as they dodged, the door swung open with a crash, revealing a shadowy figure stepping inside. Jack held his breath. What now? What would happen next? The figure paused, silhouetted against the stark, overhead lights. Jack's heart thudded silently in his chest as the rough edges of fear and dread sharpened within him. They remained frozen, pressed tightly against the cold doorframe, hoping against hope that the intruder hadn't spotted them. That it was a man. Tall and imposing, he wore a dark trench coat that fluttered slightly with the remnants of a chill in the air. He surveyed the room, his features obscured by the shadow that clung to him. Jack's breath caught when the man stepped forward, boots striking the polished floor with heavy finality. "Where are you, Jack?" the man called, his voice low and dangerous, echoing through the tension-laden air. Jack's mind raced. Who was this guy? Friend? Foe? And how did he know his name? He could already feel the sweat trickling down his back, mixing with the fear gnawing at his insides. Next to him, Maria's grip tightened around his fingers, her eyes wide. She looked terrified, yet there was a fierce strength to her, something that hinted she wouldn't crumble easily. He wanted to comfort her, to assure her everything would be okay, but how could he when he didn't know? "Come on, Jack. I know you're here." The voice was a mix between a plea and a demand, growing more insistent. The footsteps grew closer, the shadows shifting like dark ink on paper, creeping toward the heart of the break room. What should we do?" Maria whispered, her voice barely there, trembling with urgency. Was she asking him? In that moment, with uncertainty clouding the air, Jack felt the weight of responsibility fall onto his shoulders. She was looking to him for answers. "Stay quiet," he managed to breathe out, trying to keep his voice steady. It felt like a distant echo of the command he once wielded in boardrooms, where he dictated outcomes. But now he was powerless. The intruder moved closer, now poking his head around furniture, casting shadows that danced menacingly. Jack could see the determination on the man's face when he turned toward the cupboard, just steps from where they hid. Thoughts racing, Jack was desperate to form a plan, but as he glanced at Maria, the true weight of her presence coiled around him like a lifeline amid a storm. The intruder stopped. "Enough of this game. I know you're in here. You can't hide forever." He pulled something from his pocket, a glint of metal in the harsh light. "Jack, we need to go." Maria tugged gently, her voice low but filled with urgency. Now. Panic surged through him. He couldn't let her get hurt. The fear of leaving her there, alone with this dangerous stranger, gripped him hard. Just as he was about to edge away from the relative safety of the corner, the figure turned sharply, his eyes narrowing. "I'll give you one last chance," he growled, stepping further into the room, his eyes scanning wildly. "Show yourself." In that moment everything shattered. The weight of their hidden fear became tangible, flooding the break room as the silence snapped like a taut thread. Jack inhaled deeply, his brain screaming at him to escape. Yet his heart thudded with an intense need to protect his newfound hope. "Come out!" The intruder shouted again, his voice commanding. What choice did they have? Pushing against the surge of fear, Jack took a deep breath, deciding in a heartbeat. "I'm here," he shouted, stepping out into the open, dragging Maria with him. Fear tightened around him, but resolve cut through the darkness. The man's gaze flicked towards them, wide with sudden recognition, and then narrowed with unmistakable intent. "This was not what I wanted," Jack heard himself say, but inside something primal was awakening. As the tension thickened, and the reality of the situation sank in, Maria squeezed his hand tighter, both terrified and brave. Where would this stand take them? How could they escape a confrontation like this? But before Jack could voice another thought, the door slammed shut behind them, leaving them trapped with a stranger who seemed prepared to shatter the fragile peace they'd found. What now? What happened? When the past crashed into the present, Maria's voice faltered, a tremor threading through her words. The intruder took a step closer, his eyes narrowing in on them like a predator sizing up its prey. "Not a smart move, Jack. You shouldn't have come out," he warned, his tone dripping with menace. Jack's mind raced, frantically searching for an escape. "What do you want?" he demanded, trying to sound more confident than he felt. His heart pounded relentlessly, each beat a reminder of their precarious situation. The man laughed, a cold, hollow sound that echoed off the walls. "What I want? Oh, it's not as simple as that." He pulled back his coat slightly, revealing a sleek black device that looked ominous in the harsh light. "I want answers, Jack. Answers you've kept from me." Maria shifted closer to Jack, and he could feel the heat radiating from her body, mingling with the tension that filled the room. He had no idea what answers this man wanted, but the look on his face told Jack everything he needed to know. Danger was creeping ever closer. "What kind of answers?" Jack challenged, his voice breaking slightly. "Don't play dumb. You know what I'm talking about. This isn't just about you, Jack. You've dragged a lot of people into your mess." The man stepped forward and Jack instinctively stepped back, pulling Maria protectively behind him. "Get away from us," Jack warned, feeling a surge of adrenaline. The man's eyes gleamed with a dangerous light. "You don't get to dictate this situation. I've been waiting for this moment for too long." He waved the device in the air, and Jack noticed a flickering light on it. Panic surged again as he realized it resembled a detonator. "Wait," Jack started, looking to Maria for strength. "You think you can intimidate me into giving you what you want?" The intruder's amusement faded, replaced with a dark seriousness. "You underestimate me. You've made enemies, Jack. Real ones. And I'm not leaving until I get what's due." Jack's mind raced, piecing fragments of his past together as desperation clawed at him. If this man knew about his debts, about the people he owed, how deep did this rabbit hole go? Unfolding secrets from his life mingled with dread, pressing in hard enough that he could hardly breathe. "Who sent you?" Jack forced out, anger edging into his voice. He needed to buy time to figure out a way out of this nightmare. But the intruder shook his head, a cruel smile curling his lips. "Does it really matter? What matters is that we're here now." Maria looked around, her eyes darting to the door, the windows, anything that could offer a way to escape. "Jack, we have to think. There has to be a way out." The man grinned, an unsettling gleam in his eye. "There's no escape from this. Not for you, not for me. You see," he took a menacing step closer. "I control the circumstances now." Jack's mind raced. He felt as though he was spiraling down a dark tunnel, and there might not be light ahead. But deep down, something ignited a primal instinct to fight back, to protect. "Whatever you think you know, you're wrong," Jack said, hoping his voice would come off steady and strong, though it trembled slightly with the weight of the truth he concealed. Am I? The intruder shot back, laughter laced with derision. Then let us find out how wrong you really are. With a swift motion he pressed a button on the device. Lights flickered and a faint humming filled the air, a sound that sent chills racing down Jack's spine. Wait! What are you doing? Maria shouted, fear lacing her voice. Just a little demonstration, the man replied, as the humming grew louder, climatic anticipation tightening in the air like a noose. Jack's eyes darted around, taking in every detail, every potential weak spot. The clock was ticking, and this showdown could spiral into chaos at any moment. What was he willing to risk to protect Maria? And more importantly, how could he turn the tables before it was too late? The tension tightened, folding in on itself, and Jack felt time slip through his fingers like sand. In the heart of the chaos, a chilling realization dawned upon him. This wasn't just a confrontation. It was the beginning of a game he might not survive. What fate awaited them both? The intruder's finger hovered dangerously over the button. Jack's heart thundered in his chest, drowning out the ominous hum of the device. Desperation surged like a tidal wave as he fought to maintain his composure. Please just listen, Jack implored, his voice breaking slightly. If you tell me what you want, maybe we can come to some kind of understanding. The man laughed again, this time a sharp, cutting sound that cut through the thick air. Understanding? Jack, you can hardly understand the mess you've made, let alone me. Maria's grip on Jack's arm tightened, her presence grounding him even amid the chaos. He could see the fear etched in her face, but there was also something fierce burning behind her eyes, a determination not to let this man win. Let us just go back, Jack said, suddenly struck with a reckless idea. If it's about the past, we can talk it out. I can, but the thrill of hope was abruptly snuffed out by the intruder's sinister gaze. There's no talking now. Not when we're this far in. You have something that belongs to me, and I intend to get it back one way or another. Jack's mind raced, trying to piece together anything he might have that could put him in this man's sights. His heart sank when the realization hit him. His life wasn't just riddled with debts. It was tangled in secrets that threatened to unravel everything he'd worked for. Whatever game you think you're playing, Jack said, forcing a steadiness into his voice, you need to understand that I won't let you hurt her. The man tilted his head, and in that moment Jack felt a flicker of hope. Could this be the opening he was searching for? Oh, you think you can protect her? The intruder sneered, lowering the device for a moment as he took a step back. You're more naive than I thought. Jack recognized the subtle change in the man's posture. The flicker of uncertainty flashed in his eyes. Let her go, and I swear I'll do whatever you want, Jack pushed, his voice raising slightly, a spark igniting within himself. You're wasting your time if you think I'm going to let my past ruin my future. Ah, the future, the man said, rolling the words around like bitter candy. You're right about one thing, time is of the essence. But right now the future looks pretty grim. With a deft motion, the man pressed another button. The humming escalated into a menacing roar, sending vibrations through the room that rattled the very core of Jack's resolve. Jack! Maria yelled, her eyes wide with terror. What is he doing? I can't let him. Jack lunged toward the man, spurred by a wild cocktail of fear and fury, but the intruder was quicker. He raised the device and a blinding flash filled the room, momentarily drowning everything in a harsh red light. Now you're going to see just how deeply enmeshed you really are in this game. The intruder growled, his laughter echoing around them like thunder. As the light pulsed, disorienting Jack, he felt Maria's hand slip from his grasp. Panic washed over him, tightening his throat, burning with urgency. He could hear her scream slicing through the chaos, drowning out the laughter as it faded into the background. He turned frantically, engulfed by darkness, the world spinning and shifting around him. Maria! He shouted, dread gripping his heart with an iron fist. Suddenly silence reigned, unsettling and profound. Jack's breath echoed in the void, and fear clawed at him, grasping for resolve. Where had she gone? What had the intruder done? He blinked, forcing focus through the disorienting fog of uncertainty. The humming had stopped, but the ominous feeling pooled around him like poison. Something shifted in the shadows, a sound barely perceptible, followed by rustling. Was it just his mind playing tricks? Or had the intruder's plans reached a terrifying climax? In the darkness, a question loomed larger than ever. What path would Jack have to take to find Maria and untangle the nightmare threatening to consume them both? Time was running out, and with every second that slipped away, Jack knew the stakes were rising. Would he uncover the truth in time? Or had he already lost everything that mattered? Jack's heart raced as silence draped around him like a heavy shroud. He strained his ears, desperate for any sign of Maria, her voice, her footsteps, anything to pierce the oppressive stillness. Every second felt like an eternity, each tick of the clock silently echoing his growing dread. Maria! He called again, panic tightening his chest. He forced himself to breathe, to remain calm, though the worry gnawed at him like a relentless predator. He stepped forward, trying to find his bearings in the void, but the darkness seemed to warp around him. The very air felt heavy and oppressive, like it was stifling his thoughts. Then the rustling grew louder, more urgent. Jack spun around, his instincts screaming at him to be prepared for anything. "Show yourself," he shouted, his voice tinged with defiance and fear. A figure emerged from the shadows, shaky and uncertain. Jack squinted, trying to make out the face, each heartbeat thudding in his ears. "Who are you? Where's Maria?" he demanded, anger boiling up from his gut. The figure stepped into the faint light trickling in from somewhere deep within the darkness, and Jack's blood ran cold. It was a woman, a cleaner, her hands trembling as she clutched a broom. The terrified look in her eyes mirrored his own. "I heard the commotion. Is everything okay?" "Okay," he barked. "No, it's not okay. Where's Maria?" The woman recoiled slightly as if his words had struck her. "I don't know. I just got here. I heard screaming. I thought maybe someone needed help." "Help?" Jack scoffed, frustration boiling over. "You don't understand. We have to find her. He took her." "Who?" she asked, confusion creasing her brow as she tried to comprehend the chaos surrounding them. Jack stepped closer, lowering his voice to a desperate whisper. "A man with a device. He took her." The admission tore through him. He felt so powerless standing in that dark room, spinning his wheels while time slipped away without warning. The lights flickered back to life, illuminating the room with a sickly glow. Jack squinted against it, his senses suddenly heightened as the familiar hum of machinery returned, sending a shiver down his spine. The intruder's laughter echoed in the distance, playful and taunting, wrapping around the room like a noose. "Jack!" A muffled cry surged from the corner of the building, sending a jolt of adrenaline through him. It was Maria. "Did you hear that?" Jack exclaimed, turning back to the cleaner. "She's alive." But before he could move, the woman put a hand on his arm, her grip surprisingly firm. "Wait. You can't just run in there. If that man has a device, he could listen." Jack interrupted, his voice rising as urgency washed over him. "I can't wait. I won't let him hurt her again." The cleaner hesitated, biting her lip, fearing what lay ahead. "You're going to need help. You can't face him alone." In that moment, a fierce resolve ignited within Jack. "Then help me. We have to save her now." Together they dashed down the dimly lit hallway, each step echoing the thunderous thudding of Jack's heart. The closer they got, the more the oppressive feelings of dread coiled around them, thick and heavy, smothering hope with every breath. As they neared a heavy door, Jack paused, taking in the moment while catching his breath. "Do you know how to disarm that device?" he asked, glancing at the cleaner. She nodded, eyes shining with determination. "Think so. But it's going to be dangerous." "We don't have a choice," Jack replied, swallowing hard. Just then the door creaked open slightly, revealing a sliver of darkness behind it. Jack felt an electric surge of adrenaline rush through him. "It's now or never," he said, grit in his voice with a shared glance of resolve. They pushed the door open, the weight of their decision hanging heavily in the air. What they found inside sent ice coursing through Jack's veins. Maria was there, but she was bound not just physically but ensnared in webs of shadows that stirred in the corners of the room, alive as if feeding off her fear. Time was slipping away, and the darkness pulsed and whispered, warning them that they had walked into a trap. Jack's throat tightened as the intruder stepped forward, a sick grin splitting his face. "Welcome back, Jack. I'm so glad you could join us." Was it too late to save Maria? Had Jack's recklessness already sealed their fates? As Jack's resolve wavered, he realized the darkest secrets were yet to be revealed. Jack! You really shouldn't have come here, the intruder crooned, his voice smooth like dripping honey yet laced with a venomous undertone. Jack's heart raced as anger surged through him, momentarily dulling the fear that wrapped around him. Let her go, he shouted, his own voice surprising him with its intensity. He stepped forward, though the shadows seemed to swell, creeping closer as if eager to swallow them whole. The intruder's laugh reverberated through the room, echoing off the bare walls. Oh, but where's the fun in that? You see, she's part of the game now. Just a delicate pawn on my board. He gestured grandly, as if unveiling a masterpiece. With Maria's wide eyes locked onto his, Jack felt an urgency swell within him. Don't you dare call her a pawn. He lunged forward, determined but acutely aware of the treacherous terrain he was stepping into. Ah, the brave knight, the intruder said mockingly, stepping aside to reveal Maria. Still bound but now illuminated in the harsh overhead lights. Shadows writhed at her feet, eager to snuff out her spirit. But what you don't realize is that you're walking straight into my web. If you want her back, you'll have to play. Jack's breath hitched. Play? What do you mean? Simple, the intruder replied, a flicker of excitement dancing in his eyes. Solve my puzzle or she suffers. He produced a device from his pocket, sleek and glinting wickedly in the light. You have 5 minutes. Time seemed to stretch, the air thick with a tension that could slice through steel. Jack turned desperately to the cleaner, her face pale, filled with an overwhelming sense of helplessness. Can you do it? He asked, urgency clawing at his voice. She stepped closer, her brow furrowed in concentration. I've seen devices like this before. If we can find a way to Jack. Maria's voice broke through, laced with fear. Just do what he says. Don't risk it. Don't talk like that. I won't let him hurt you. Jack shouted back, but the weight of her shackled state sank into him deeply. A knife of despair twisting in his gut. I know how to disarm it, but I need time, the cleaner pleaded. Her eyes darting to the countdown clock the intruder had activated on the device. A pulsing red light ticked down ominously. Then let us work together, Jack said, gritting his teeth and moving closer to the device. The intruder merely watched, a smug smile on his face. As the clock ticked mercilessly with shaking hands, the cleaner knelt beside him, their breaths mingling with tension. Jack's heart thundered in his chest as he grapples with pieces of the mechanism, each click sending pangs of anxiety through him. Focus, she urged, her voice steady against the suffocating atmosphere. Don't think about him. Just think about Maria. Jack looked up at her, determination surging. We're getting her out, he said fiercely. Each second that passed filled him with more resolve. But the intruder chuckled, clearly enjoying the show. You've got 3 minutes left, Jack. Time's tick-tock, tick-tock. What will you do for her? Jack's hands trembled as he worked, flipping switches, looking for signs of weakness, praying they weren't too late. Then suddenly, a scream ricocheted in the air. It came from Maria. Jack's heart stopped. No, he yelled, but there was no room to react as shadows intensified, swirling around her, feeding off her terror. He ripped his gaze away, focusing on the device, knowing it couldn't end this way. With a final click, the mechanism responded, lights blinking defiantly. He felt a jolt of hope shoot through him. But then laughter, cold and cruel, rumbled through the air. Too late, Jack. It seems she was never the prize. A thunderous crashing sound erupted, and Jack's stomach dropped as the shadows surged violently, encircling Maria tighter. Jack's fists clenched as the world narrowed down to a singular thought. He had to save her, but at what cost? As despair washed over him, he accepted the final challenge he never wanted. What had he gotten himself into? The true game was just beginning. The device flickered ominously, each pulse of light like a mocking heartbeat. Jack's hands were damp with sweat as he leaned over the tangled mess of wires, his mind racing against the encroaching shadows. Maria's scream still echoed in his ears, slicing through the thick air between them. Jack. The cleaner's voice broke through the chaos. You have to think. What's the last move? The intruder, enjoying his dominance, sauntered closer, his shadow swallowing the bright light. I do enjoy a good performance. But this is the final act, my friends. Let us see how brave your knight really is when the stakes rise. Jack felt the weight of the world pressing heavily on his shoulders. If they failed, Maria would pay the price. What's your plan? He hissed to the cleaner, desperation clawing at his throat. I can disable this if I can just get to the main circuit. But I need just do it. He interrupted, unsteady panic creeping into his voice. Maria's safety was slipping away, and the reality of it was suffocating. The shadows had thickened, a living entity that flickered maliciously as they tightened around her. Relax. The cleaner snapped. You need to keep me calm. She worked with hurried precision, her fingers deftly navigating the device like a surgeon in an emergency room. But doubt rattled Jack. What if they couldn't figure it out? What if 2 minutes? The intruder's grin widened, exposing sharp teeth like a predator's. One way or another this will end. Either she goes free or you join her in the dark. No, Jack gasped, gripping the edge of the device like a lifeline. Put your faith in chance, Jack, the intruder taunted. That's all you have left. His laughter sent a chill curdling through Jack's veins. Enough games. You'll regret this, Jack shouted, shifting his focus back to the cleaner. What do you need? I can find it. Hold this, she instructed, her hand steady despite the chaos surrounding them. As he did, he noticed the tremble in her fingers. They were all running on borrowed time, but he wouldn't let that stop him. From the corner of his eye, he saw Maria's eyes filling with tears. The shadows had started to inch further up her form, gripping her tighter. They were hungry. Keep going, he urged, panic amplifying every word. The cleaner grit her teeth, pulling components apart, wires sparking in resistance. If we don't do it now, Jack's heart slammed against his ribs. I won't let you fail. I won't lose her. Her determination sparked back in her eyes. Don't look at her. Stay with me. Every second stretched unbearably as the countdown whispered malicious promises of despair. The shadows danced, flickering closer, looming over Maria's terrified figure as they fed on her fear. 45 seconds. The intruder crowed, his voice dripping with malice. Oh, Jack's focus sharpened, a single thought dominating the chaos he had to push. Come on, he urged, adrenaline blasting through his veins. We can do this. Trust me. In that moment, the cleaner's gaze fixed on his, a spark of resolve flickering between them. Okay, we need to override the lock. 3 wires, we can do this. With renewed determination, Jack carefully followed her instructions, heart racing as he snipped the first wire. The device reacted, lights flickering wildly, as if protesting their efforts. But they pressed on, fueled by fear and sheer will. 20 seconds. The countdown rang in their ears. Tick-tock. With one last frantic tug, Jack connected a final wire. The device hummed and sputtered, then silence. In that stillness, Jack held his breath, fear colliding with hope. Did we do it? The intruder's laughter echoed darkly, but beneath it, the shadows leaped back, retreating from Maria, surprised by the sudden shift. 15 seconds. What is happening? Jack shouted, dread seeping into his gut. Stay calm, she urged. This may then everything exploded in a deafening crash, lights blinding as the air filled with the choking vapor. Jack's instincts kicked in, instinctively reaching out for Maria even as confusion enveloped him. Maria! He yelled, straining to hear her voice above the chaos, but just as his fingers brushed against something solid, the laughter returned, chilling, echoing through the haze of smoke. Did you really think it would be that easy? In that instant, as reality twisted and tumbled around him, he realized they weren't out of danger yet. Tomorrow was supposed to be a new beginning, but tonight was far from over. Jack gritted his teeth, ready to fight. What more was this monster planning? The air crackled with tension, thick with a strange mix of smoke and fear. Jack's heart raced, every beat echoing in his ears as a familiar voice called out from the void. Jack, where are you? Maria's voice sliced through the chaos, grounding him, sparking adrenaline to surge through his veins. Right here, he shouted, pushing deeper into the haze. Panic fueled his movements. Each step felt heavy, as if the shadows themselves were trying to drag him down. The world around him felt fractured, a puzzle missing critical pieces. The cleaner's hands flailed beside him, struggling against the residual smoke. I think I reversed the polarity, but it might have sent a surge through the system. She cried out. We need to find the reset. Suddenly, the intruder's voice cracked through the smoke like a whip. Now we're getting to the meat of the matter. You see, you may have bought yourself a moment, But the truth is these shadows know the taste of desperation. The shadows thickened, swirling ominously. They twisted and turned, whispering doubts that clawed at Jack's sanity. Images of Maria in the grips of darkness flashed in his mind, intertwined with his memories of the life he failed to protect. Jack, hurry! Maria's cry came again, more desperate this time. Instinct kicked in. He had to get to her. Straining against the biting smoke, Jack squinted through the gloom. Shadows writhed around Maria, now barely visible, like a tormenting mirage. Stay still. He fought against the chaos, clawing toward where he thought she was. I'm coming for you. Do you think you can save her? The intruder taunted. You're outnumbered. This is where hope meets its demise. Jack's frustration boiled over. Shut up! He roared, his voice cracking as he hurled his determination into the air. I want to lose her. The cleaner stumbled alongside him, her eyes wide with fear and anger. Focus, Jack. Reset. We need to reset. Almost instinctively, Jack reached for the device amidst the chaos, still littered with tangled wires. He felt the remnants of disbelief gnawing at him. Could it really be as simple as flipping a few switches? The intruder's venomous laughter echoed, taunting his sanity. Then he saw the switch, glowing dimly amidst the swirling shadows. There. That's it. I can hit it. But a wave of darkness surged forward, threatening to engulf him whole. Jack! Maria screamed again. A panic woven through her words, his breath quickened. Gritting his teeth, he lunged for the switch. Just as his fingers brushed its surface, the shadows loomed larger, forcing him back, closing in like a cage. The weight of despair pressed against his chest. I won't let you take her, he shouted, channeling every fiber of his being into a final push. With a primal scream he reached for the switch, but an unseen force gripped his wrist, halting him. He fought against it, pulling as hard as he could, but it was no use. The darkness was relentless, 1,000 eyes watching his every move, creeping into his mind. Your strength is meaningless. The intruder shrieked, reveling in Jack's struggle. You're losing her. No, he replied. I want to lose her, not now, not ever. With a final surge of determination fueled by love, Jack twisted free from the shadow's grasp and slapped the switch down hard. The device roared to life, its hum slicing through the air like a knife. Dazzling light pulsed around him, illuminating every corner of the dim space, pushing back the shadows as if they were mere figments of his imagination. Not so fast. The intruder spat, his voice riddled with fury as the shadows recoiled, shrinking back from the powerful glare radiating from the device. Jack felt a strange rush hope ignited inside him. Maria! He shouted again, desperately searching the blinding light. But as the shadows whimpered and faded, he realized something horrifying. The light had revealed a new truth. Maria was now swathed in darkness, and she was vanishing. Jack! Her cry was one of heart-wrenching defeat, calling out as though she was slipping further away from him. Before he could respond, the air became thick and heavy, the echoes of their frantic breaths filled with unspoken dread. The overwhelming darkness condensed, creating a new shape in front of him. Wait, was it? A face emerged, and his heart plunged into an abyss of despair. What have you done? The intruder thundered, eyes burning with fury. And just like that, the air trembled and crackled. Jack felt the chill of the unknown wrap around him, closing off his escape route. The shadows had not retreated. They were gathering strength anew. Jack's mind raced. What had he truly unleashed? The story was far from over. In that blinding light, determination surged within Jack like a tidal wave, pushing fear back into the corners of his mind. He could see Maria now, struggling against the remnants of darkness that clung to her, desperate as they twisted and coiled like snakes around her limbs. Panic ignited in his chest, yet he steadied himself, grounding his thoughts on one singular truth: he had to save her. Hold on, Maria. I'm coming, Jack shouted, his voice booming through the chaos. He dove forward, but shadows surged, trying to swallow him whole. He fought through the fog of darkness, teeth grinding against panic. The intruder unleashed a cacophony of laughter that echoed around them, resonating with chilling mockery. You think it's that easy, Jack? You've only peeled back the first layer of my web. Sweat dripped down Jack's brow as the shadows howled around him, dark tendrils reaching for his ankles, seeking to pull him into their inky depths. He pushed through, tearing at the very fabric of the shadows as they hissed and writhed. "Maria, focus on my voice. I'm right here," he pleaded, seeing her face etched in terror, her eyes pleading for help. The pulsing light illuminated the quiet strength that resided within her. "You're not alone." "Yes, I can feel you," she replied, her voice infused with a steely grit. Jack glanced at the unwieldy device, its wires still sparking dangerously. Maybe there was another way. "We need to overload it. Reverse whatever it is he has done. Do it. You have to," Maria responded, determination coloring her tone. Jack's heart thundered as he lunged for the device, hands trembling but resolute. He fumbled as he navigated wires with manic precision, avoiding shadows that hissed and snapped around him. In that instant he felt a rush of clarity. The connection between them radiated like a beacon, urging him on. 50 seconds. The intruder bellowed, fury thick in his words. "You're losing her." With ruthless speed, Jack ripped away the cover from the device, exposing a chaotic mass of circuits. He could almost hear the shadows' whispers tightening like a noose around Maria. Come on," he muttered to himself, his fingers working at breakneck speed. "You have to believe, Jack," Maria said, her voice shot through the din. "Just keep going. I won't give up," he roared back, pulling frantically at wires, feeling the weight of every second slip through his fingers like sand. Desperation drove him forward, voltage sparking ominously in the air around him. The shadows recoiled with each flick of light, as if recognizing their imminent defeat. Jack's heart raced. Just a little more. 20 seconds. The intruder hissed, his tone pressed with unadulterated venom as Jack found the final wire to sever. He glanced at Maria again. She was bathed in a shimmering halo that began to push back the encroaching darkness. "We can do this," he shouted to her, spinning the connections with fierce urgency. Finally, he gripped the last wire and wrenched it free. The device roared with power, and an unmistakable pulse of energy shot through the space, illuminating the break room like a midday sun. Shadows shrieked and faded, their grip releasing, while Maria cried out in joyous disbelief. I'm right here," she shouted, tears of relief streaming down her face as Jack fought through the light. With a final thunderous blast, the device exploded in a sonic boom that shook the very walls of the office. The shadows twisted violently, disintegrating into wisps that faded into nothingness. Jack stumbled forward, arms outstretched, as the brilliant light enveloped him like a warm blanket. In the heart of the blast, Maria embraced him, their bodies colliding in a fusion of light and warmth. Jack felt the weight of the world lift from his shoulders, a surge of hope flooding through him. "You did it, Jack," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling as she pressed closer. "You did it," Jack replied, finding strength in her embrace. "We did it." The intruder's furious roars dwindled into silence, lost to the ether as the light began to fade into a gentle glow. Together they held each other close, no shadows left to haunt their futures, no burdens dragging them down anymore. Stepping back, they basked in a new reality, a fresh beginning born from chaos and despair. Jack finally felt the warmth of hope radiating through him. The weight pressing down on his heart lifted with every second that passed as dawn broke outside. Painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, they stood together transformed. Jack's heart was finally free, and beside him stood a soft strength, the night cleaner who had pulled him back from the edge of despair. "I promise to live for today," Jack murmured, "wherever it may lead us." "Just don't forget the tea," Maria teased, half smiling through tears, a spark of magic still lingering in the air between them. He chuckled softly, the sound filled with warmth. "I want tea, together we'll brew a brand new life." With that, they stepped through the shattered remains of their past, hand in hand, ready to embrace whatever came next. Together they were stronger than ever, united under a sun that rose anew. Now before you go, listen up. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that take your breath away. Smash that like button to help feed the algorithm and keep our community thriving. And I want to hear all your reactions and theories about this wild ending. So flood the comments section right now. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support means everything to us. So let us connect and grow our amazing family together.